What is up? Just landed home and having some blueberries and just getting my energy back because it's been a freaking long day. But I wanted to speak to you specifically about what we've been doing to help accountants, consultants, and advisories close more deals and also simultaneously build a moat against competitors. So maybe you're currently offering a generic accounting service. I was looking at the US client's website recently, and they had 3 different retainers. One retainer was $200 a month, one was $400 a month, and one was $1,200 a month. In South African terms, that's about 3,500 Rand, 5,500 Rand, and about 20,000 Rand a month retainers. So a pretty standard range, right? And I compared that to another website that I saw where there was this guy and he was like, the fun CPA, which is like a chartered accountant. And his whole site was like around his personal brand. Like he had clips of him like doing podcasts and sharing like audiobooks and all these things. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And what I've been realizing just through my own discovery around marketing and listening to some of the greats, great guys like Dan Kennedy, for example. Last night I was busy cooking up some food, some lamb burgers, and I was listening to Dan Kennedy, and he was speaking about how building a personal brand is an absolute necessity in this modern day. And he spoke about how building a personal brand is one of the key ways to differentiate yourself and be able to price on your own terms. So this is like a fundamental lesson that I've been learning just about like, how do we go from offering a service that is a commodity to offering a service that is premium, that allows you to charge more, to keep clients for longer, to have shorter deal cycles, to have people show up to calls more frequently. And that's the goal, right? That's the absolute goal. Like if you could have one goal, it would be, how can I go from being a commodity offer to being a premium offer? That is what we're after. So I'm going to speak to you about how exactly we do that and how you can use this to book more consultations, have an easier time getting those consultations to show, have an easier time turning those consultations into paying clients, and have an easier time keeping those clients for longer and ultimately growing your firm month on month and year on year. So how do we do this? Step 1 is you need to solve problems. And you need to solve problems that exist in the lives of a certain type of people. What I'm saying is that you need to become what we call a specialist or an industry leader. So let's say that you primarily work with, let's use like gas stations. Let's use like gas stations as an example, right? So think of gas stations, gas importers, gas exporters, gas retailers, gas producers. Think of just like gas and, natural resources, things like that. Maybe that's what you specialize in. I've actually spoken to a fractional CFO who did specialize in that. And he had one large client that was doing very, very well, exporting gas and importing gas in Africa. Now, what we need to do to create content that speaks to that type of people so that you can become an authority is we need to get very clear on the problems that these businesses experience on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a yearly basis, heck, maybe even a daily basis, that you as an advisory or as an accountant can help them solve, that you're confident you can help them solve. So for example, if you're an accountant, I'm confident that if you're battling with just being referral basis and word of mouth, I'm confident that I can help you convert strangers into customers. So I'm confident I can help you get past referrals and word of mouth. Now, for your situation, in your shoes, you need to take a pen and a paper or take a a blank Google sheet. You need to ask yourself, what are a select few problems that my group of people experience that I'm confident that I can solve? And what you're going to do is you're going to write out pieces of content that solve those tiny problems. And each piece of content is working as an ammunition for your business. And what's awesome is that if we post 10 pieces of content, and let's say that 2 of them knock it out of the park and do very well, we can take those 2 and run them as ads to get even more people. But now, how do we write this content? So we write this content with 3 structures, 3 very basic, right? Very basic structure. Hook. The most important thing that we can focus on is the hook. So the hook needs to be relevant, and it needs to speak directly to your target audience. An example of this, I've got a fractional CFO who is in manufacturing. And for our hook, the hook was, maybe I should pull it up. Let me actually see if I can take a look at the hook. Okay, but the visual hook, so there's a visual hook and a verbal hook, like a audio hook. So an audio hook could be like, manufacturers, do you struggle with this? And then a visual hook would be the B-roll or text on the screen. Okay, so the verbal hook was in allocating material cost and direct labor hours can completely distort your margin. And on the screen, we also have a title that says you can't fix rising material prices, but you can fix how you manage them. So what we're doing is we're speaking directly to the pain point that the manufacturers are struggling with, which is those rising material prices. And then we're alluding to, but you can fix how you manage them. So we're alluding to the advisory offer. So that's what we need to do. We need to call out those little pain points that they struggle with, and then allude to a potential solution, which is us. That's your call to action. So hook is the pain point, what they're struggling with. Call to action is, this is what I do. And in between, this is what I do and this is what you struggle with, this is what you can do by yourself today to get a small result that will benefit you, regardless of whether we work together or not. And this is something that I learned directly from Frank Kern. I realized that great marketing material, what a great piece of marketing will do is it will educate and add value to your market, regardless of whether or not a sale takes place. And this is how we build something called goodwill. And what's awesome about goodwill is that it compounds, okay? So you might have 1,000 people in your audience who aren't buyers, but if you constantly provide them goodwill, maybe they know someone that is struggling with that issue, and then they come and they recommend you. They say, you know what? I've been watching this guy. His name's Jake. He's a chartered accountant for dental practices. I've been watching him forever. Even though I don't run a dental practice, I've learned just a little bit about how he structures businesses and their reporting. And I've actually got a cousin who runs a dental practice. I think that you should go and speak to Jake. So what we're doing is we're building brand equity. We're building goodwill by just giving out and positioning ourselves as an authority, as a teacher, as an educator. And that is a brilliant way to essentially discount the price of working with you in the minds of your leads. So imagine this, right? Imagine you sell a service for $1,000 a month, and your competitor sells that same service for $800 a month. Now, even though your competitor is charging less than you by 20%, because your lead may have seen, let's say, 10 pieces of content over the past month, and they love what you do, and they know you can help them, and you have that pre-built authority, they are most likely, and I've experienced this in my own life, they are most likely going to be perfectly happy paying a little bit more because they know who you are and they trust you and they like you. And you've already helped them prior to them paying you. So it really isn't about price. And this is a common misconception, is that we think that everything is price, everything is price sensitive. But if that were the case, you wouldn't have premium brands. Premium brands wouldn't exist. And I can tell you now that it isn't just about status, because your rebuttal might be, but Ben, people buy premium because they like the flex. You know, they want to get Louis Vuitton, they want to get a Ferrari. But if Louis Vuitton and Ferrari weren't associated with quality, people would never purchase them if it was purely just to show social status. There's a part of us that also deeply craves quality, and it deeply craves trust in the service or the production process. I hope this is making sense. I hope that we're learning something here. So let's now think about how can we use that to sign more clients. So I've just shared with you how you can create very simple pieces of content that speak directly to a target audience and build brand equity so that your deals close like this. So here's what we do. We build an organic base. Organic meaning normally posting videos. You've got your hook, your educational piece, and then your call to action. And your call to action could be, click follow, comment this word, check out my newsletter, get a free guide, book a consult. We're going to be posting that organic content, and then we're going to be selecting our highest performing organic pieces of content. So imagine that over a period of 3 months, you've posted, let's say, 30 reels. What is that? 1 reel every 3 days, so 10 reels a month. And let's say that out of those 30 reels, you've got 5 outliers. You've got 5 reels that have really just knocked it out of the park. They've gotten you an incredible following, they've got good engagement, and they spoke to the right types of people. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking those pieces of content and we're going to be running ads on them. We can boost them. And we can boost them directly to a call booking page. We don't want people to submit an inquiry and then it takes you 24 hours, 12 hours to respond. That's not what we want. We want people to be able to book a day and a time with you. And the reason we like that is because conversations are the fastest path to cash, okay? Conversations are the fastest path to cash. That's what we need, is we need conversations. We don't need email back and forth. We need you and me on a video call talking about how I can help you and what help you need. That's what we need to do. So we're taking our outlier content, we're running ads on it to a call booking page. Once someone books a call, I need you to send a personalized message. Personalized. Okay, we're not sending just generic reminders. You can send generic reminders, those are also great. But on top of that, I want you to send a personalized reach out, a voice note, even a 5-minute call, maybe just a, hey, I saw your website, I saw that you are in, the gas industry and that you guys have been doing this for 25 years. That's freaking awesome. Looking forward to our call on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. You're just establishing that relationship a bit further. Okay, so that's a very simple process, right? We're doing research, we're building out the pain points, we're answering and helping those pain points in organic content that we can post on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then we're taking the outliers and running them as ads. That freaking simple. And you can use this process. You can start with as little as, I would say 10,000 Rand a month, which is like $500 a month. I wouldn't start with anything less than 10,000 Rand a month, or maybe $500 a month. And if you're thinking, oh, Ben, I can't even afford that, then start with just purely organic. Purely organic. You will also get inquiries, but it will take longer. And if you're thinking, Ben, I can afford way more than that, then I would suggest if you're in South Africa, starting with 30,000 Rand a month, 1,000 Rand a day, you should be booking consultations for $500 or less. If you're booking consults for anything more than $500, unless you have enormous friction, then there's something wrong. And in America, if you're like, hey, I can afford to spend, let's say $200 a day, $6,000 a month, then you should be booking 1 to 2 calls a day. So 30 to 60 calls a month, which is really good. Really good. Yeah. Really, really, really good. Cool. I'm just thinking if there are any other things I should add. So it's been a long day. A long day. I need to have a freaking shower and go and cook some food. And I've actually got some client work to fulfill on. I'm building out a logistics campaign for an account that deals in logistics. And then I also need to script out video ads for a fractional CFO in construction. So I've actually still, it's almost 6 p.m. here in South Africa, but I still got some work today. It's going to be a packed Monday. Very, very busy Monday. Cool. But just a little bit of like a thing that I've been thinking about, right? And this is more like a mindset thing, just around your service, right? And this is always like tripped me out. If you think about building wealth, it's about solving problems, right? And obviously, the bigger the problems you solve, or the more at scale the problem you solve, the more you're rewarded. So if you solve, let's say, helping 1,000 people with housing because you have 1,000 apartments, you're going to make a lot of money. Okay. Whereas if you solve being a cashier at a retail store, you're not going to make too much money because you're kind of replaceable, and it's something that other people can do, and it's not a huge impact on the lives of too many people. So now if we think about this, right, if we take a second and you look at your dream life, if you've got like, a car that you want, if you've got some holidays that you want to go on, if you've got a house that you want to live in, maybe a wedding that you want to pay for, or you want to support your family with their debt, their mortgages, their student loans. If you think about all those things that you want, okay, someone else had to solve a problem for you to receive that thing. So let's say that you want a new Mercedes-Benz, right? Someone had to engineer, certify, quality test, get the raw materials, engineer the thing, test drive it, store it, ship it, sell it. There was so much that had to happen in order for that thing to exist. And now for it to exist in your life, you have to pay for all of the solutions that were provided for that thing to land on your lap. And it's the same story with like going on holiday, for example. Like you could be like, oh, I want to fly to Japan. I want to fly to Japan. I don't know about you, but I do. Now, in order for you to fly to Japan and enjoy your time there, someone else needs to work. Like they've got to fly a plane, so they're working. Do you think they want to be there at 11 o'clock at night flying a freaking plane in the sky, responsible for thousands of people's or hundreds of people's lives? Probably not. So that's why plane tickets are expensive, because you are busy paying for a huge problem that was solved for you to experience. And then you're going to be eating food, right? So someone else that needs to get the ingredients, grow the ingredients, cut them up, serve them. You're going to be experiencing all these things. Maybe you go for like a tour. You go climb Mount Fuji or Fuji, Mount Fuji, I think. You're going to have a tour guide who's now taking time out of their day to walk up a freaking mountain and show you all these beautiful surroundings. And you're having like a time. But for them, they've probably done it 500 times. So it's a bit repetitive. So with all things in life, and I don't want this to be like depressing realization. It's not my intention. But what I've been realizing is like, if you like everything that you want cost someone else solving a problem. So if you want to get all those things, you need to solve problems to pay them back. And this is like the interesting thing about, if we think about debt, because people will want to experience the problem solving of other people without solving problems themselves. So they borrow money, which is I'm borrowing the problem solving of someone else to pay for the problem solving of someone else. And that's a big issue, right? If we think about like America, trillions of dollars of debt. If we think of student loans. So ask yourself, and this is the beautiful realization. Like this is the beautiful realization I want to share with you so that we leave on a good note. Is that if you write out everything that you want, your dream life, what you want to be, where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, exactly where you want to be, what it looks like, the life you live, the day you live, the week you live, the month, what does it look like, right? What do you drive? Where do you live? Who are you married to? How is your marriage? How are your relationships? How do you spend your free time? How much traveling do you do? How much autonomy do you have? If you really paint out that picture, right, you can absolutely get there, but you need to know that there is a price tag to it. And that price tag is how many problems will you solve, or what impact of problems will you solve, or how many lives will you impact. And ultimately, the more value that you provide to the marketplace of other people, the more problem solving you do for others, the more problem solving will be done for you. And let's say you've done so much problem solving that you've accumulated $1 billion. Now think about it. Pretty much all of your earthly problems can be handed off. If you want a haircut, here's money. If you want a new car, here's money. If you want a new house, here's money. If you want a new computer, here's money. If you want to go on a holiday, here's money. If you want to have an awesome wedding for your daughter, here's money for your daughter to have an awesome wedding. Okay, so we can essentially solve all of the problems in our own life that are earthly and in our families' lives that are earthly. Debts, mortgages, cars, medical aid, hospital bills, traveling, freedom, autonomy. We can solve all those problems. That should like be an exciting realization, right? An exciting realization that you have the ability to solve every single earthly problem in your life and your family's life and your loved one's life for good. That's a realization. But it's not too good to be true because there is a cost. And that cost is that you need to solve an equal amount of problems in the lives of others in order to receive those problems being solved for you. Selfishness. I think that selfishness and focus on oneself is what keeps people broke. Is that they're, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Where you've got like self transcendence, and then you've got like your basic needs at the bottom, then you've got like safety and health, and then you've got like leisure, reproduction and stuff. But at the bottom you've got like your base needs. And what I've been realizing, like in my own like nervous system and like the stress, like what I've been realizing is that I'm just thinking how to articulate this best. The realization that I've been having is that when you are operating from a lower rung in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are often in a state of survival. And because you are in that state of survival, your focus is consumed by one's own being, by one's own day to day. You are literally in a state of survival where you can only focus on yourself. And because of that, your level of impact on the lives of others reduces. And you stay in this vicious cycle where you're too broke to enjoy the good things. So you're in a state of survival. And because you're broke and in that state of survival, you don't think bigger about how you can help other people. And therefore you never make more money. And it becomes this very vicious cycle. And there's a few ways to escape that cycle. You can You can do like affirmations, you can do prayer, you can level up your skill set. You can, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things that you can do. I don't want to get lost in that. But one thing that I'd done, which was actually really big for me, and I learned it from a multi-millionaire that I'd worked with in the past, was identity setting. And it's kind of like painting out that vision that we spoke about earlier and hypnotizing yourself, I would say, using music and visual representations of your goals to self-hypnotize and pairing that with prayer. And that self-hypnotizing process, I like to think of it like what King Solomon says, where without a plan, people perish. So if you are in that state of survival and that state of stress, and you don't have any sort of plan to escape it, you begin to perish, you begin to wither. And that withering can be a painful process of alcoholism, tobacco addiction, smoking, drugs, late nights, sleeping around. Like your life becomes so messy when you're stuck in that state of survival constantly. And the best way to escape it is to set intentions and to set goals that help you climb out of that. And wow, yeah, it's just been a crazy journey. But thank you so much for joining. I think I'm gonna get some dinner on the go. And yeah, keep solving big problems. Like keep solving big problems. Stop complaining. Help more people, and then you'll be helped. And I'm perfectly happy, putting my family and my loved ones above me and my own needs. As a dude, I think it's a way to do it. Because right now, like my biggest need is autonomy, which I believe is earned through entrepreneurship. And then the other big needs are, supporting your loved ones, providing, ultimately. Cool. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon. My name's Ben. If you want to learn more about what we do, how we help, and how you can sign more clients with us, and how we solve problems for you, you can check out freshdealflow.com. That is freshdealflow.com, where I can invite you. You can apply to work with us, and we manage all of your ads, all of your scripting, all of your content systems, so that you can book consultations with qualified leads and never ever worry about lead gen ever again. It's a pretty beautiful process. So if that's something that interests you, you can visit freshdealflow.com. You can apply there. We'll have a conversation, see if it makes sense, and then I'll invite you to work with me. Take care. Stay blessed by the best. Bye-bye. Ciao.